I've spent the last few weeks telling you about why rest matters, how the church may have gotten it wrong, and how to shift from performing to practicing. And I meant all of it. But to tell you the truth, I'm still learning this myself. I say that because I learned to be what I call a max effort person. And learning to stop has been one of the hardest challenges that I've faced. So let me tell you what max effort looks like in my life. I'm an engineer who became a pastor, became a chaplain, who became a therapist, who became a speaker. I've been in 3+ denominations. I run a private practice and I'm building a nonprofit. I'm also writing another book and I'm building a speaking career. I built YouTube videos. I train with kettlebells several times a week. I'm navigating a marriage, raising adult children, and trying to figure out what rest looks like when your calling feels like a full-time job. That's not a resume. That's a man that sometimes doesn't know how to stop. And for a long time, I called it faithfulness and hustle. I called it answering the call of God. I called it anything other than what it actually was, a pattern of overproduction that many times kept me from being present in my own life. What changed? My body started telling me things I didn't want to hear. I remember having a busy Thursday schedule, 5 consecutive sessions, back to back couple sessions. By the end of those Thursday sessions, I wasn't tired. I was done. Not I need sleep or rest. I was like, I have nothing left to give at all. Nothing left to give at all. And I come home to my spouse, who's looking for her husband at the end of her day, but there wasn't anything there. I remember a conversation about a dishwasher. She asked me to run the dishwasher, 2-minute task. Shouldn't take too long. However, in my heart, it was like, you're asking me to do something else. One more demand on a system, on a body, on a mind that was already running on empty. And so, of course, conflict occurred. That's what max effort can do to our relationships. When we have nothing left in us, everything becomes a demand. And even love can feel like labor because we've given so much to the work or to the calling or to the faith that the life around us becomes another job. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I figured this out. Some days I do better, other days I don't. But I'm learning some things. I'm learning that having margin is not laziness. Margin is the space where life can actually happen. It's the space where the conversation with my spouse and my kids won't feel rushed. It's the morning that I can sit with my sandwich and don't even open my email for 30 minutes. It's the Saturday where I don't record a video or plan a session or build a presentation. Margin is where I remember who I am without the work. Sabbath, I like to say, is an act of faith. It's the ability to take rest and trust God that what's going to happen, that God will take care of. And I think that's important because many times we miss Sabbath when we think we have to take care of everything. Sometimes stopping is the best thing we can do because stopping is when our body relaxes. Stopping is when our mind slows down and clears. Stopping is when our faith moves from performance to just being present with God. I'm learning more and more that I don't have to trade calling for companionship. I'm learning more and more that my spouse wants somebody who's available, not just physically, but also emotionally. And to be present with my spouse, to be present with my children, to be present with my grandchildren, to be present with my friends. Sometimes I have to slow down and say, hey, I can't run at max effort all the time. Sometimes I have to rest so my body can recover. That's something we talk about in exercise, especially when we lift weights. The recovery time is more important than the lifting time. When we're in recovery, we're not running at max effort. Sometimes we aren't doing anything at all. And so sometimes we have to slow down for the better things in life to happen. I'm learning that God expects my faithfulness, but doesn't need my effort. God wants my presence. God, who says, be still that I know I'm God, is not impressed by my productivity. God is impressed by faithfulness and presence. So if you're running at max effort, if you're running at 120% when you only have 100%, in your faith, in your marriage, in your career, in your healing, I want you to hear this from someone who's still learning it. You can stop. And stopping is not irresponsible. Stopping is something we can do long enough to remember that we are not what we produce, but we have value because we are God's children. We have value because we're made in the image of God who actually took a Sabbath day to rest. And if rest is good enough for God, it's also good enough for us. Thank you for listening to this series on max effort. I hope it helps you. If it does, share it with someone else who might be running on empty. Subscribe for more. And please hit the like button if something has touched you in a real and special way. And please feel free to comment on this video. Thank you so much for paying attention. And remember to love God, love people, and love yourself. Take care.